What's up, Chris? It's
Friday,
Friday.
Friday. Super excited for Friday. Whatever the. I'm gonna just keep making up pretend lyrics because I don't actually even know that song.
Hey,
Um, every
nobody
Friday, it's
else
gonna
knows
be
it either,
some.
so go
That's
ahead,
right.
make
It's
them
gonna
up.
just be different every single time. Um, welcome everyone to the e-commerce hour with On the Rocks, the show where we talk about e-commerce and e-commerce adjacent information, specifically as it relates to technology and tips to run your e-commerce business, as well as horrible songs and renditions of the song Friday. I am Chris Gino. He is Jay Kimmelman, and we are the hosts of your show. Last week we talked about loyalty programs. We talked about the pros of what loyalty plans can do for you and how they can increase your long-term customer values and as well as your average order value. We highlighted a few problems that you can run into if you're not careful in loyalty programs, particularly not paying enough attention to them. And then finally, we highlighted a few tools that can help you get a jump start on your own loyalty plan. Um, this week we saw a really interesting benchmarking report that was issued by ShipStation, their e-commerce delivery benchmark report for 2025. Um, and it is a summary of how e-commerce is evolving, how growth is stabilizing, how consumer habits are shifting, and how AI is reshaping how businesses operate. So we're going to talk through some of the findings that we read through in that report and explore what they mean to e-commerce sellers. That will be things about AI-driven logistics, things about omni-channel fulfillment, and we'll even discuss how brands can stay competitive in an increasingly complex landscape. But before we do, let's get to the news. Now, we're not going to do full news. We've kind of decided that we'll do that as a separate thing, a separate deliverable. You'll catch that in a newsletter or a blog different times during the week. So be on the lookout for that on the High Rock webpage. Um, but there is important news, and that's because we have gone full circle yet again, Jay, in America's favorite on again off again relationship, BOI. So BOI was off, and then it was on, and then it was off, and then it was on, and then it was off, and now it's back on. And this time, I think it's on to stay, and that is 1 month from today, so March 21st. You are officially currently as of today required to file your BOI reports. As Jay and I have mentioned on this show, what feels like 100 times. This will take you like 10 minutes to just do it, and it will be done, and then you won't have to worry about it anymore, and you can stop listening to us talk about it. But that is a relatively important piece of news because it is a legal matter that affects any business owner, which means that it's something that you should definitely do. Jay, is BOI here to stay for real this time? Like this was a Supreme Court deal, right? Like there's
This,
no go back.
this actually wasn't a Supreme Court deal. The Supreme Court already announced a month ago that it was
Right.
back.
Okay.
This was another pending appeal that
Oh, okay.
they sided with the FinCEN, and
Uh-huh.
FinCEN's like, yeah, we're ready. We're going to stick with that deadline, but here's the thing: they might push it back. So I would just do it. It's not a big deal. Like Chris said, it's going to take you 10, 15 minutes, and you know, just knock it out, get it done. It's one of those things. It just, we want to know who owns your company. We want to know who the owners are, where they live. Want to make sure they are basically not terrorists. That's basically the function of this report, is to trace the money
Right.
from shell companies that were filing money to terrorists. If you're not a terrorist, be a patriot. Fill out the form. It's not a big deal.
be a patriot. Do
Be a
your
patriot.
boy forms.
Yeah.
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 I love
I
it.
mean,
I love it.
yeah.
They need an ad campaign around that. That's exactly what they
Right?
need. Be a
Yeah.
patriot, fill out your form, and
Yeah.
they'll be done today. Uh, so so anyway, that is all of the news. That's it. Because again, look out separately for blog posts or other communication around the historical news, where we'll talk about tech and ecom things happening and whatever Amazon's doing this week, because they're always doing something. Um, As mentioned, that means it's go time for our main topic today. And so our main topic today is related to a report that was issued this week, so it did come up in the news. The e-commerce delivery benchmark report. This is was a 45-page, beautiful little graphic report that ShipStation did. ShipStation, if you're not familiar, is a well, you know what, what all does ShipStation do? How embarrassing. They do like delivery and fulfillment support, right?
Yeah, they are probably one of the leaders in
Right,
logistics and helping you
right,
ship your products to your customers, getting the best rates and getting it accomplished, connecting through your systems, whether it's Shopify, BigCommerce, Sin7, all of those
right,
platforms. The information flows every which way. Customers get notified. It's all that good stuff. So ShipStation is
right.
a great product. Been, you know, I have not been using it, but I've been helping my clients use it for years.
That's
So
right. Yep.
it's a great tool and
Right.
really good information. It was really
Yeah.
surprised by how deep this went, and we're going to talk a little
Right.
bit about it. So exciting,
Right.
good stuff.
Well, so what they did, right, and the reason why it's so deep is because the folks at ShipStation in partnership with a survey firm reached out to 8,000 respondents in 8 key markets, mostly in the U.S. and Europe, but also Australia, as well as 400 senior decision makers in e-commerce businesses. So there's this like very big pool of information that was utilized in building this report. Um, the things that they were asking are like, what is your company doing? How are you implementing these things? What kind of challenges are you running into? And what kinds of trends are you seeing? And they used all of this information and all of these responses to build out a wide variety of of summary information, like Jay said, that has a lot of good and valuable insight, and a lot of key points that we'll highlight for you today. And so my expectation is that you'll get to hear about a few different trends that we've talked about already, but we'll talk about them a little bit more in depth here today, as well as when we get to the end here, we'll have 3 key takeaways, 3 things that you can do today to move your business forward, to address some of the things that we'll talk about along the way. And so, during the pandemic, the e-commerce was like super booming, where growth rates were extremely high. In 2024, 84% of the businesses that the survey touched on also grew, but instead of growing by double-digit percentages like they had from 2020 to 2023, instead this year they grew by an average of 5.6%. And so, so Jay, that begs the question: is e-commerce hitting a plateau? What do you think?
I wouldn't say it's hitting a plateau, but these spending patterns are changing right now, and
Right.
we have to adapt to that. And what I thought was really remarkable was we're expecting about a 5.4, 5.6 increase in 2025,
Right.
and the US is above the average, but it's not leading
Yeah.
that average. It's Australia or New Zealand. I can't tell from the flag. it's it's one of those countries down under that they're expecting almost a 10% increase in e-commerce sales in
Right.
2025, followed by Canada, then the US, followed by
Yeah.
all of Europe, which is ranges from 3.7 to 5.5. So, thinking about where all of that lands is really important, and how you set up your business, where you want your customers to come from. There's a lot of different things to look at there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that I think is one of the key things that it does mean for brands, right? Is if you've been building your business on the back of 10% growth for several years, that may be an unrealistic expectation. And so when you're budgeting and when you're evaluating both your inventory needs, as well as your team member needs and all of the other things that go along with budgeting for your business, there are other considerations that you need to make. And if your main market or your key market is in the UK or in Europe, maybe you need to consider whether expansion into the US or into Australia, is valuable and will give you this opportunity to grow in a way that you hadn't planned for already. Um, that this also means that business owners likely should spend time focusing more on sustainable growth. We talk about that a lot here, right? Sustainability is a thing that comes up a lot, and it came up in this report several times too. This idea, and I'd never heard it called this before, and it was really embarrassing to me that I had not considered this name, but it was called re-commerce, Jay. And that's that reusing the same product, right? Something that we've talked about here of that this is really starting to take hold throughout the marketplace, this ideal of sustainability. And so being able to sustain both your brand as well as the growth plan of your brand, those are going to continue to be more important as we go forward. Um, there's also some other changes within the environment that this report highlights. The first is that omnichannel is here to stay. So 46% of consumers that were surveyed in this, so of those 8,000 people, 46% of them plan to shop in stores more, which just like slaps in the face my retail is dying common trend, which I was a little bit surprised by. Like, and maybe it's the certain kind of retail that's dying, but I do think that I think what this highlights is how being able to touch or feel something still has value, and it can still be important. And that will also incorporate very much into some of the conversation around AI later. Um, while 46% of consumers, and most of them surprisingly were younger consumers, plan to shop in stores more, only 31% of consumers expect to buy more online. And so what that means is that you have to have some extra consideration of whether you should blend online and offline experiences. And that was an interesting takeaway from this report too, is like that there's this value of being able to experience the product in a different way rather than just being able to see it online. That is something that we'll see again more of in the future, I think. Jay, what do you think about that omni-channel?
No, I think it's definitely here to stay. And the more places you can get your brand out and seen, they used to say you had to be seen 7 times to make sales. Now it's more like 12 to 15. The more places
Yeah,
you are seen, the better your brand's going to do. So it's really important. And, what you talked about earlier about the younger generation actually doing more purchasing in
yeah,
stores,
right,
considering they're also the ones that are driving the social purchasing and a lot of the online purchasing. So that
yeah.
just tells you that those Gen Zs, is that
Gen Zs, yeah, those were
the Gen
the,
Zs
the
are driving the economy today.
that's right. And certainly if you think about it, right, like the Gen Z customers, if you're looking for a long-term customer value, right, the Gen Z customers are the ones that are going to be able to provide you the most long-term value because they
Mm-hmm.
still have the most life. And so there's a lot to be said for that, and it will come up several times in this discussion today about how some of the things that the Gen Z customers are expecting are starting to infiltrate everybody across all different demographics, and truly shaping the way that e-commerce brands really need to be thinking. And that starts actually also with the role of marketplaces, and also retail partnerships, right? So again, like Jay said, the more places that you can find your product and that your customers are already, the more effective you'll be at selling the product to them. And so it is important to continue to identify those areas where your customer lives, where they spend their time, so that you can get those 12 to 15 views. um, one other, what do you have any other thoughts on omnichannel, Jay?
Now we're going to get to the other part of that here shortly when we start talking about social. So
Oh, okay, right, yeah,
I think that's actually the biggest part of omnichannel, and that's why it has its own
yeah,
little section. So
right, absolutely, absolutely. So before we do get to the social commerce and all of that, it was also very very clear from this report that AI is a competitive advantage. 96% of retailers use AI, but there is like some concern on whether or not they're using it effectively. And Jay, I don't know. I don't know if you noticed this or read this, but a lot of that AI is being used on the front end side.
Right.
So creating copy, creating pictures, creating this AR and augmented reality and all of that stuff, right? That's where
Yep.
a lot of this use case is. That's where retailers are using the use case.
Yep.
But an interesting interpretation from this report that I took away was there's actually a whole lot of value in doing it on the shipping and delivery side. So
Exactly.
this is that's where customers are seeing the most or have the highest expectations for improvement is in the back end, the logistics and inventory management.
Yep.
And so while AI can be really, really powerful in doing those front end things, there are advantages to take away from doing them on the back end too. Now,
So I just want to touch on this real quick. So
yeah,
there, they broke down the companies in four categories. They had the tech trailblazers, which
yep,
94% of which were using AI and upgraded systems. And then
right,
there were the digital laggards. These were companies that were not using technology as much, only 63%. And these were also companies that were not showing sales increases. So you
yeah,
can correlate the use of higher technological AI
right.
with increase in sales. And it's obvious that companies that have their finger on the pulse of technology are generating more interest. So I think that's
Yeah,
really important to look at.
yeah, and I think that there's a few different things that came out of that as well, right? So these tech trailblazers, the people that were using technology across their business, were identifying improvements in lots of different areas. And they were using AI fundamentally or technology fundamentally across not just the client facing side, but also all throughout their business in order to improve and streamline operations. And you could see that it is drastic. And Jay, I was really surprised by this. Like it is drastic how much better those technical trailblazers, like how much better their performance was across a variety of metrics
Right.
in comparison to those digital laggards. And that was loyalty programs, right? Which is a thing we talked about just last week about
Yep.
how doing that and utilizing technology to help support it is so powerful. This is a 15% difference in the use of those programs, right? So the tech trailblazers were using this 15% of them more were using loyalty programs.
Mm-hmm.
They were using new tech and services in key areas in order to stay competitive. So there, and that looks like a 20% change, right? A 20% difference. Like these are huge differences in these tech trailblazers. And so using all of that information that's available, right? We understand that information is out there, it's everywhere. Being able to use that advanced data information and infrastructure to optimize your efficiency, that's what those tech trailblazers are doing. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what we've been talking about as a thing that you need to do for a year and a half now, or however long we've been doing the show, right? Since basically day one, like technology is what helps you to be able to grow more effectively. And so, Jay, I think there were a few different use cases, and we've kind of touched on them a little bit, but these I thought really like streamlined and lined up very, very well with the 2025 trends that we talked about at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jay, those are AI powered logistics and inventory. So again, using your back office side, the things that happen after the transaction in order to speed up that process and make it as smooth and easy as possible.
Mm-hmm.
There's personalized marketing and recommendations, right? So that is all that front end stuff. That is that hyper personalized activity that we see where you're using the data that you have around the people to specifically market to them, which again, we'll talk a little bit more about in social commerce as well. And then finally, like a thing that we haven't talked all that much about, but that it was always going to be a really good use case for at least the start process of AI, and that's automating customer service. And so if people have a problem,
Yep.
if people have an issue and they want to be able to resolve it, an AI agent is a very easy way to give them a response immediately, and let them know that you're caring about what's happening, even if you can't resolve it, and if it's a little easy problem, that you can fix it right away.
Yeah, and speaking of that customer support factor with AI, 61% of online businesses are using customer support for their customers. They're using AI for their customer support. And
Right,
the next use is the tailored recommendations. The
right,
last item is returns and exchange automation. And then you
right.
turn that around and look at what the consumers want to
Yeah,
have you use AI for. The number one thing is order and tracking delivery.
yeah,
Order and delivery tracking.
yeah,
Delivery.
yeah.
Ah,
Tracking delivery,
yeah.
same thing.
You would think I still have a headache here, but the last thing that the consumers want is tailored recommendations. So
Yeah,
I think they realize they're already getting it. So they're like, yeah, it's not that important because I know
right.
what I want. But those tailored recommendations coming through will increase your average order value, which is the importance of
Mhm.
that because hey, if you want that blazer, you need to get those shoes or that purse or whatever it happens
Right,
to be. And you're going to drive up your average order value. And it's
right,
the most important thing for you is get those orders moving and get the dollars in. Well,
right. Yeah, the most important thing for your customers is getting the product to them
yep,
and understanding where it is, right?
exactly.
And when we talked about my super trellis situation, right? About how when I bought it, I got the delivery notification, and then the next day it was delayed by 3 days. Like that is exactly where I would have preferred that process to have been better, right? That's exactly the type of thing that we're talking about. Is if you can improve that order and delivery tracking, and if you can improve the notifications around how your order is progressing and the status of what your product is and where it is and what's going on, like that's what customers are really looking for. um, and then interestingly, the next thing after that is returns and exchanges, which is again another after purchase item.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a customer support area, which is exactly one of those things. Like if you there are programs out there that exist that can help you to make these returns and exchanges so much better. Um, that it's really worth investigating, right? We talked about that last week in the news. Actually, there was the company that had just partnered up to build out this AI based return module. So I think we'll continue to see that happen more and more. Jay, are there other areas where you picked up in this report of AI being a competitive advantage, or AI being something that people should focus on?
No, I think we covered most of it. We're going to get into a few other things that it might impact on coming up here, but no, I think
Yeah,
we got the good portion of that done.
yeah. One other thing that was like couldn't have been more clear, and I think we've talked about that here too, Jay. In this is that social commerce
Yep.
is truly changing the way that e-commerce works, um, because where you can now go to TikTok Shop or to Instagram Shop or whatever it is, right, and you can get the entire package of your product. So you're promoting the product, you're showing off the product, you're telling people and bringing awareness to the product, but then you can also buy the product in the same exact place. And so now you have the all of the pieces of the purchasing puzzle are all in these social commerce marketplaces, and that is truly going to change and has been changing the way that e-commerce is working. And part of that, Jay, I think is because people are spending so much time on those platforms,
Yep. For sure.
because they are so popular, because they're they're fun, they're exciting, they're interesting, right? Like they're a good place for you to spend your time, or an enjoyable place for you to spend your time. That it's made these types of things like that much more powerful. And I was really surprised that like the percentage of consumers that are planning to shop through those types of platforms is just like way higher than it had been just a few years ago, and it just continues to grow. Where 25% of consumers had purchased goods through a social platform like this, but 52% of them plan to. So that's a big shift, that I think we'll continue to see, on a going forward basis. That's here in the U.S. Overall, it's 21% in every one of these respondents, and then 49%. So again, that's a big increase of who has bought through social platforms and who's planning to. And so I think that as those platforms continue to get better, as those advertisements become more personalized and can be that much more powerful, that is just going to continue to be where e-commerce is going. And so maybe this may be a spoiler alert, Jay, but like, you should probably be doing this if you're not. This is a this is a big area of opportunity for e-commerce brands.
Yeah, and
Jay,
like you were saying, the numbers are staggering. And so
staggering, just shocking.
25% of baby boomers are purchasing online right now.
Through social platform.
Through social platforms, right? Through social
Right.
platforms.
Yeah.
Almost 50% of Gen X is. And when
Yeah.
you look at the millennials and younger, the Gen Zs,
Yeah.
71 and up percent are purchasing on
Just
social
amazing.
platforms.
So many people.
And you think about where most of the people are today, at least for the next 60 days, they're on TikTok. That's why TikTok
Yeah.
Shop is the hottest market right now, and everybody's fighting to get on there. Last
Yeah.
night, I got finished doing my work. I was waiting for my wife so we can go out to dinner and grab some food. I'm just scrolling, and it was like live sales going on from the TikTok Shop. It's like, oh wow, oh I wish I
Yeah.
needed that. I scrolled past it, but I mean, it's like every fifth post was a live sale, and it's just amazing how they got that set up now like that. And
Yeah.
that's where people are. So you're meeting them, like we said, where they hang out. It used to be they hung out at the malls. Well, the malls are being closed down, turning into Amazon distribution centers.
Yeah.
So
Walmart side shops.
right, exactly. So it's like TikTok, Instagram. That's where people are hanging. So let's go ahead and do it there. I mean,
Yeah.
it
Well, I
works.
mean, there was an example, and this was just like, I I I don't I've never even heard of this brand, which is maybe a little bit embarrassing for me. But there's an example in this article about P. Louise, Jay,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure if that's who I feel like that's their name, but
Mm-hmm.
they had a 12-hour live shopping event like you're talking about through TikTok Shop, and they generated $2 million in sales in that 12-hour event. Like that's just a really really good example of how powerful this can be for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they also have an example of Princess Polly, who I also have never heard of. But this brand generated a 350% increase in purchase value and 5-time increase in purchase frequency through targeted search, right? So it's that same concept, right? You now have this like dedicated space where you can bring people. 60% of those customers that came in were new to the brand. So these are like the top of funnel people. Like they're really capitalizing on new customers through this, and being able to really target the people that you want in the place that they are, can just be like very clearly, right? It can be a big win. Um, the other thing that these social platforms allow you to do, right? These social marketplaces allow you to do is to expand your reach. And so you can now reach international customers way easier because of platforms like this, because now that can be popular not just here in the United States, but also in Europe or wherever it may be, right? And so obviously you need to have like a pretty good distribution network in order to send things internationally. But as long as you have that, you have this opportunity. It's why Jay. It's why Shimu is so popular, right?
For sure.
uh, why these brands are so powerful is that they are taking advantage of a lot of this same stuff that we're talking about here, by being able to market to people where they are and provide a product that people are interested in. Now, that can be it can be uh, really easy to make big mistakes when you start to sell internationally. First one is not understanding all of the rules, right? The second one is not understanding the market. There are lots of mistakes that you can make, and so it can be a big decision, and it is a big decision to introduce yourself into a different market. So that's a thing you want to address with concern, or being critical. Um, but it can definitely be really powerful to you, because like we talked about, some of those international markets are growing at a faster pace than your local one might be.
Yeah, early on, working with Amazon sellers, they would jump from the U.S. market into the European markets and all of those marketplaces. And you know, luckily, I believe now Amazon handles most of the tax or the VAT or the VAT, value added
Right.
tax, for you. But if you're going to jump into markets like that, you have to be aware of that. Whether it's in Canada where they have 4 or 5 different versions of sales tax, whether it's PST, HST, GST, and then you have VAT in Europe and elsewhere. So
Right.
those are some of the things that Chris is talking about. You have to be aware of, because on the backside, you don't want to start getting letters from uh, the
France.
UK revenue to say, hey, you owe
Right.
us VAT, and we're coming after you. So just
Right.
be aware that that's out there, and there are firms that can help you with that.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
not only that, there are you know duties and
Tools.
tariffs and other items like that. So just as you're going to go into international markets, do the research, figure out what's needed, and go in with your eyes wide open.
Yep, absolutely. One interesting statistic that was also in this summary around that online marketplace, that this idea of online marketplaces, is that only 46% of North American e-commerce businesses are selling on these online marketplaces. And what that means, and I'm here to tell you, this might be shocking, but that means that 54% of you have some opportunity to get out there onto these online marketplaces and sell your products in different ways, because that reliance on a single marketplace is probably just not going to be effective, right? You're the like Jay was talking about, right? The more eyeballs that you get, the more opportunity that you have to sell your product and highlight what's good about it. So um, so definitely do that.
One last thing I want to
The
mention though
Oh yeah.
about social. Once you make those sales though, try to get those customers on your email list. Get them,
Right.
so you're able to communicate with them, get them in your loyalty programs, and get them onto your websites, because you can get them to your website. It could lower some of your costs of selling that product. Um, so it might be able to raise your margins a little bit. So, and if you are, I don't want to say targeting them, but yeah, you're targeting those customers. You are able to direct them to your site and be able to use some of those tailored recommendations and help increase your order value. So,
Right.
use the social markets to help you get the reach, and then bring it back home to keep them there and keep them buying from you.
Yeah. And the final thing, as a takeaway from this report, and we already kind of mentioned it already, but we'll talk about it again here, and that's that mastering delivery and returns is of the utmost importance, right? Especially the younger shoppers, like they have changed the way that their shopping strategy was, right? Like it used to be like flexibility in delivery and returns was like a added bonus and special, but now that's just kind of an expectation, right? People are expecting now tailored offers and omni-channel shopping. They expect to be able to go to the store to pick it up in a retail store if that's the way that if that's what their preference is, right? So they have this expectation that these things aren't differentiators anymore. There aren't things that make you better than somebody. They are just things that everybody should have.
Well, Amazon set
And
the standard there.
right,
Everything. You're on Prime, you'll have it in 2 days. Free returns, easy, all that stuff. Now they're reverting on some of those things, and now everybody's expecting it and wants it, so they're not necessarily
yeah,
getting it from Amazon, so they're looking elsewhere for it. So
Hmm.
use that to your advantage.
Well, and one of the ways that you can do that is because they are looking for these other options. In several cases, they're willing to pay for them. And that was a highlight that I took away from this as well, is that people are willing to pay for expedited delivery if as long as that option exists. And if it's something that they want to have and that they want to receive quickly, like they're willing to pay the price for it. Um, the most important statistic out of all of this, I think, Jay, was that like all of these things are baseline expectations now, and if
Yep.
those expectations aren't met, the younger consumers are 62% more like they if those expectations aren't met, 62% of younger users are going to switch to somebody else.
Yeah.
And so that means that you have to nail these things, and they become a critical framework of your business. And that is why those technological leaders that we talked about before are having success, is because they are able to deliver exactly what they're promising and allow for flexibility at the same time, so they aren't finding these people switching from them. Oftentimes the delivery is we talked about it before, right? It's the key factor. It's the thing that consumers care about the most, is how is my product going to get here on time, and where is it? And so it can be the make or break factor, because 57% of the consumers that were surveyed here, they expect those orders within 2 days, like Jay's talking about, right? Amazon has spoiled us all. um, and then but that's mostly here in the United States, because only 29% of the people in Europe expect that. So again, it
Right.
is really the Amazon impact here. um, so driving there that can be that factor, right? Being able to have easy returns, being able to have speedy delivery, like those things are just a way of the future, and that correlates also with some of the other stuff that we've been talking about recently, of these the idea of micro fulfillment, right? Where you maybe you use Uber Eats or something to deliver your product locally, right? Like we talked a lot about that. Or maybe you partner with a retail brand and say, hey, I understand I might not be in your store, but can you hold my product for me so people can pick it up there, right? Like somewhere popular. This gives people this opportunity to get faster delivery and and get it more effectively. And then of course, like optimizing returns can help improve profits, because you people will respend that money. People will buy your product again, because they're not going to switch, because whatever, it was just the wrong size. But the process was so smooth that they're glad to do it again, right? That can be a really important factor, and it's certainly in apparel and things like that. Jay, do you have any other thoughts about delivery and returns?
Yeah. So returns, like you said, make it as simple as possible, and you have buyers for life because they know that they can trust you. And you know, I know my daughter loves her Lulu pants. She's a dancer, and
Yeah,
she has a relationship with the girls in the store. They know she's coming in, and they take care of her. And if there's a return or
right.
something, they're on it, and there's no questions asked. And that's why she loves it, and why my wife is willing to pay 3 times what it's worth to have that. But it's the experience that you get, and it's important. And that's one of those omni-channel situations. You buy it online, you return it to the store, you make exchanges in the store. It makes it really super
Yep.
simple, and you don't have to run to the UPS store, repackage it, or whatever to get it out. So that's important, and it makes it super easy. Now,
Yeah.
I want to just hit up on something here. It's slightly off target here, but it's kind of still still
Yep.
e-commerce related, and shipping and technology. So,
Yeah.
friend of mine ordered a new MacBook Pro, and we were sitting down having coffee a week ago, Thursday, and he's like, "Hey, my laptop it's scheduled for delivery tomorrow." I said, "Let me guess, it's in Amsterdam and Alaska, right? In Anchorage." He goes, "Yeah, how'd you know?" I said, "Well, most Apple products come through Anchorage when it goes through customs." So he's so excited, and we met on Saturday, and he's like, "Dude, I got to tell you something. I got a text from UPS that my laptop was delivered. I never left the office." I'm like, "What's going on?" So he flags down the UPS driver who said, "I have your package. I'm coming back in an hour. I have to do the rest of my overnight deliveries." And she comes in crying, and so somebody intercepted the truck. Says, "Hey, I'm Jason's cousin, and I know you have a package from Apple for him. He asked me to get it from you."
Wow.
Yes. Now, first thing was they knew his name and they knew his digits of his address. Did not know his last name, did not know the street, but knew the number of his address. And the
Wow.
UPS driver, who this was a complete FU by them, completely. But by having the additional technology of saying this was delivered and not waiting hours, not only did they get a police report out, they found out that this guy intercepted another truck looking for a
Wow.
different package. So this is telling me that either somebody at UPS has this information and is leaking it, or somebody at
Yeah.
Apple is. This information's there and somebody's leaking it out because this definitely sounds like an inside job. But his replacement got delivered today. So
Nice.
by being able to get ahead of it, he was able to communicate with Apple. Apple's like, "Hey, you paid for this product. This is UPS's problem. We're going to ship you a new one." And it took 2 weeks to process the first one because he ordered whatever, and it wasn't available in store, so they had to
Sure.
remanufacture it.
Build it or whatever. Yep.
They expedited it and got it out in his hands in
Wow.
less than a week. So having that technology assists not only give the customer the better experience, but in cases like this, it helps you stay ahead of it and hopefully defeat crime. But for what it's worth. But
Right.
I
Yeah.
just I was like so taken back by it.
Yeah.
But
That is
that
wild.
that's worse than porch pirates.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. But that is crazy. Um, but it does actually uh, tailor in or tie in pretty good to I think our closing set here, right? And that is that there are three things that e-commerce sellers can do today based on this set of facts that we've summarized. And actually, it's more than three things. It's three concepts, each with several different things that you can do. So, Jay, let's get into that. The first one is that
Let's
you
do
can
it.
improve your delivery and returns experience. So you could be more like Apple. And to do that, right? Like again, we've talked about this, right? Everybody
Yep.
wants fast shipping. Everybody wants easy returns. They want an Amazon-like experience. It's just the expectation now, and a bad delivery experience not only will lead to lost sales, but will lead to like lost customers. Like they will not come back. So the things that you can do today: audit your current shipping times. Can you optimize carriers or fulfillment options? Like, are you using the best choices that you have? Is your 3PL partner using the right shipments for different products? I see this way more frequently than you would imagine, where things that maybe need to be expedited or whatnot are just using the wrong tool. So do an audit of this. This can be extremely valuable because not only will you identify your shipping times and your regular shipping times, but you'll also understand whether or not they're shipping from the right warehouse, whether you're losing money that way, whether you need to reallocate where products are, all that different kind of stuff. So there's a lot of value in auditing your current shipping situation.
Yeah, that's key right there. That's a huge factor. And if you can cut down your shipping time, odds are you can also cut down your shipping costs by doing that and adjusting to
Right.
different warehouses where your products are stored will definitely do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing that you can do today is to offer free or faster shipping on your best-selling items in order to boost conversion, right? So people want those good things. If you make it a little more appealing for them to get them, there you go. Nice and easy conversion boost. And then finally, and I think there's no question that this thing needs to be as consistent as possible, and that's that you can simplify returns. So make sure you have a customer friendly process. And the best tip is to probably use technologies that exist. They are out there to automate that returns processing. Make that process as simple for yourself as you can, so that you can um, take advantage of the tools that are in the marketplace in order to make that process really easy for your consumers, your customers. The second big topic, and this will come as no surprise from the e-commerce hour here, and that's you can leverage AI for customer engagement and sales. So the reason that you want to do that, right, is the thing that we've talked about for forever, and that's that you're personalizing your customer experiences, and then you're automating tasks that are redundant and repetitive, which allows you to improve efficiency. So the first thing that you can do is to set up an AI chatbot. They are not all that expensive. They exist, and there's a million of them out there now. But that can allow you to automate customer inquiries, recover abandoned carts, like do all of these different types of things. There are lots of different ways that these chatbots can assist in making sure that your products, that your customers are satisfied, and that you're doing some follow up along different kinds of sales. The second thing that you can do is to use AI-driven product recommendations to increase average order value. We literally talked about that last week, and this is no surprise. Right at the beginning, there are everybody has come out with a tool that helps you to make this better and make this easier for you as well. So you'll continue to see that, and like we talked about, if you're not using it there, you're not going to be behind. You're just going to be gone, because everyone is going to expect this. This is going to become an expectation. And then finally, you can automate email flows. That's abandoned cart, post purchase, win back campaigns for higher conversion rates, right? So there are lots of tools that are out there that help you to improve your email flows. We talked about those last week as well, or 2 weeks ago. Things like what were we? Klaviyo. What were some others, Jay?
Klaviyo is the big player that I remember.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of different email platforms you could use, integrate with your stores. Mailchimp,
Yeah.
ConvertKit, all of those.
Right. So you want to definitely make sure you're taking advantage of that kind of technology, because some of these follow-ups are super valuable. And in fact, again, using myself as an example, Super Trellis, they sent me a post-purchase discount, and I bought from them again, and it works. It is super effective. There's a reason why those things are effective, and if people don't take advantage of it, it's not that big of a deal. If they do, you're just getting more conversion. So definitely make sure you're taking advantage of those post-purchase follow-up options, as well as abandoned cart items as well.
For the record,
And then
he does not have an affiliate program with Super Trellis, so
I don't.
these are
Maybe I
completely
should.
unsponsored plugs there.
That's
So,
right.
but that
That's
is
right.
another good technology is to use affiliate programs with
Right.
combining with the next topic.
Yeah, that's right, and that's to optimize your social commerce strategy, right? And that is exactly what it sounds like. You want to make sure you have those direct checkout options through Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok Shop. You want to go live or post short-term videos using potentially affiliates to drive traffic to your store or to highlight a product offer. And then explicitly, you can collaborate with micro influencers to drive traffic to your store today. So those three things can be very, very easy wins, because again, if you're not doing those things, you're definitely missing out on opportunity. And there definitely will be a lot of opportunity in that area going forward. Jay, any final thoughts?
Go where the market is. Yeah, social is
That's
it.
right.
I mean,
Right.
75% of Gen Zs are on social and purchasing there, so take advantage of it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, big shout out to ShipStation for preparing this report and being the baseline of our conversation today. Um, if you need more information about these types of things, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to talk to you more about how your business can utilize these strategies, as well as as well as where you can find ShipStation's business annual, whatever the report is called, whatever the report was called. So let us know in the comments if there's other stuff that you'd love for us to talk about or related to this. If there's some social strategy that you've used that you loved and that you really found successful. We'd love to hear from you and would love to talk more about that on a going forward basis. Jay, Before we get out of here, anything? Where are we racing this weekend?
We are racing in Atlanta.
Yeah,
Yes.
is that what
We have
uh
we have
what
practice
should we
going on,
expect?
practice and qualifying going on
All right,
for the Xfinity cars starting in about 5 minutes. We have trucks and Xfinity cars racing tomorrow, and the Cup
all
cars
right,
on Sunday. Now, if you will recall, we talked about the closest finish in NASCAR history last year from this race.
oh was that
Yeah.
oh was that
So
right?
yeah. So this is going to be a great race on Sunday. Yeah, I will have to watch Saturday's races Sunday morning because
Right,
we are heading to see a couple of basketball games at Flagler College tomorrow as
all
Abby
right, yeah,
is dancing with
Anthony,
the dance team between
nice.
timeouts. 15 and 30 second increments. So it should be a fun
Right.
day tomorrow as well. Looking forward to seeing her and
Yeah,
her
that's exciting.
friends. So yeah. How
Yeah,
about you?
we've
What's
got
going on
a
this weekend?
we got a birthday party for one of Elwyn's school friends. So looking forward to that. Love getting all the kids together. I don't know if I mentioned here. A lot of times when I take my daughter to the park, she's very clingy. She likes to hang on and or there's just not that many people there, and especially if it's people that she doesn't know, she's a little more hesitant to like get out and climb up on everything and do all the playgroundy stuff. But the most recent time that I took her to the park, we went there to meet a couple of the friends, including the young birthday boy, and uh, and she was everywhere and talking to everybody. And I was like, "What is happening? I'm not familiar with this. I'm not used to this." And so I'm super excited to see how that birthday party plays out because it's like she's growing into her element when she's around her little friends,
Oh yeah.
and that is just amazing to watch happen. So
Yeah, it's
uh,
amazing.
I'm really excited for that. Really excited to see the kids play together and to catch back up with some of the parents, all that kind of stuff. Um, and hopefully, I haven't actually looked, but hopefully the weather will be a little bit warmer here in DFW, and we can maybe get outside a little bit. That'd be great. But otherwise, not any big plans. Not a whole lot going on here uh, in Texas at the end of February. Um, Football season is over. Sad. Basketball
So
season. I'm over it.
so you had that big cold snap they were expecting for you, right? Everything, your
Yeah.
power grid, everything stayed stayed good enough.
Uh,
Everything there.
as far as I'm aware, we yeah, right, exactly. So far so good. We had a little flicker once or twice,
Yeah.
but not ever a real outage. Um, and we've been pretty fortunate in that respect, at least. I think
Good.
the big shutdown from a couple years ago really inspired some improvement in the grid
Yeah.
overall, which we weren't in this house at that time. So since we've been up here, we haven't had an issue. So
That's good.
that's been nice. Thanks to all my other suburbanites for paying the price for us that one time. Because at least so far it's been pretty good. So
Good.
yeah. So again, birthday party that should be a lot of fun. We'll see
Yeah.
uh, what else happens. And then next week, Jay, what do you think? We got some tax rules coming. I saw that there was some momentum in Congress. Are we expecting anything to actually happen, or any big news? I've seen some earnings reports come out. Walmart dropped their earnings recently, so
Yeah.
maybe we'll have some news around that.
Yeah. It
I don't know.
sounds like inflation is inching up and
Yeah,
purchasing is
well,
down a
that's good.
slight bit. But
Yeah,
we have the rumors of pending firings and layoffs at the IRS.
yeah,
When we see it, we'll know what's going on there. But
right.
when it comes to that, file your taxes, get it done. If you need to call the IRS, do it now. Don't wait because once they do start doing these layoffs, those wait times are going to actually increase. And actually, I don't know if you
Absolutely.
saw, I posted in our teams today. For the first time I've logged into the IRS, I got hey, we're busy. Hang on. We can't let you log in yet. I've never seen that
Wow.
before. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
crazy.
yeah.
The website is being doged right now or something. Who knows?
Must be. They must have put
Yep.
that. Wait. I'm sure they're not using virtual servers. They probably have some of those 1985 servers there at the IRS. So,
Yeah, maybe.
yeah,
Maybe. Well, who knows what we'll talk about next week, but I can assure you that it's going to be e-commerce related and probably around technology.
for sure.
So we'll be right here again next week on the e-commerce hour with On the Rocks. Come see us next week. We'll talk about e-commerce related stuff, and we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you then. In the meantime, have a good weekend. We'll see you next week.
Have a
Bye,
great weekend, everybody.
everyone.